spectrum. Think forward.
Where do you have one community that has 4 unsolved crimes in 4 years?
They found her car abandoned on the Bluegrass Parkway with a flat tire.
It was just like she got out of the car and just vanished.
I've never seen anything like it.
He said they killed him, Chief. They killed him. The disappearance of Crystal Rogers, Saturday, August 11th at 7/6 Central.
So I think from a practical standpoint, most people would have taken that meeting. It's called opposition research or even research into your opponent. In the case of Don, he listened. I guess they talked about, as I see it, they talked about adoption and some things. But nothing happened from the meeting. 0 happened from the meeting.
While both the president and his son maintain that Trump Tower meeting yielded no information about Hillary Clinton, the fact that it took place, the fact that there was a cover story put out about it, those have become big problems. We are lucky to have with us 2 people who both have won Pulitzer Prizes this year for their reporting on that meeting and all the after effects. With us now, Matt Apuzzo of the New York Times, and our friend Ashley Parker has agreed to stick around. Matt, welcome back to the broadcast. What was it like in real time as you learned of the existence of this meeting? And importantly, what are the dangling questions out there still unaddressed?
Well, Ashley got into this in the previous segment. When we went to them, my colleagues in the Times went to the White House with what we knew, the existence of this meeting, last year. And we said, hey, what was this about? We know that Don Jr., Jared Kushner, Paul Manafort, basically 3 of the most important people on the Trump campaign at the height of the campaign are meeting with the Kremlin-connected lawyer. We knew that much. And we said, well, what was that about? And they pushed us off and said, we need some time. People are traveling. Let us get back to you. And we said, look, we just want to know the answer. We'll give you the time. They came back and they said, oh, that was nothing. It was about adoption. And it was such a head scratcher. I mean, it was so obviously bizarre. It raised more questions than it answered. And then over the course of 3 days, the story kept changing. And here we are now a year later, and we're still trying to figure out where exactly the president is on this. And where we've ended up is the president saying, well, we tried to collude with the Russians, but it didn't work out. It didn't work out, and we didn't actually pull off the collusion. And that is head-scratchingly where we've ended up after a year of reporting.
And Ashley, you broke the dictation portion of the story, which was striking for all of us to read in real time, because we're still getting to know this president and his style. But here's this president taking the time and effort to dictate a story about a meeting and the purpose of the meeting in Trump Tower. Can you believe that we still have so many questions, that this still generates this much news coverage almost a full 2 years later?
I can and I can't. I can because we sort of understood that the way we came to that story was we understood that her statement was basically drafted, or we reported dictated by the president as he flew back from a trip to Europe. And our understanding was that it was sort of this scrambled frenzy on Air Force One to try to come up with a statement with the president really taking the lead and dictating it. And so that sort of statement, that very problematic first statement that arose from such chaos, I'm not surprised that some of that frenetic energy is still continuing on to this day.
Matt, remind us, one aide resigned because of his exposure to this effort, correct?
Remind me. I'm trying to keep all of my my Trump flashcards.
Mark Corallo, who was spokesman for the legal team.
Yeah, so it's interesting. So Corallo, who's a spokesman for the legal team, has said that he resigned because he had concerns about this. The Trump team says that he was fired. He was never a valued member of the team. Like so much that goes on in this administration, it sort of depends on who you talk to where the truth lies. But I think the point that Ashley made has legs, because that issue of President Trump's involvement in the misleading statement is among the topics that we now know that Bob Mueller wants to talk to the president about, and that is kind of at the heart of this question of is Bob Mueller going to subpoena the president? Is he going to take no for an answer, or is he going to take, well, we'll talk about this, but not that for an answer?
So one more question on that front, Matt. Of the foundation of the Mueller case, of the founding documents, the founding questions, you think Trump Tower meeting is easily top 5?
Yeah, I mean, I think you look at the questions that Mueller has said he wants answered from the president, and this question of what did you know about this meeting, what did you do in regards to it, is front and center. And I think of course it is, because it goes to this issue of people from the Kremlin show up in the middle of an influence operation to tip the outcome of the presidential election, and they say, we are here to help you on behalf of the Russian government's efforts to help Donald Trump's campaign. We would like to hurt Hillary Clinton. And they say, sure, absolutely, let's meet. And so, of course, it's front and center. Of course, it's one of the most important issues facing the Mueller investigation.
Put it that way, it sounds almost like a serious meeting. Ashley Parker, what's the fear level, the anxiety level among the people who are your regulars who work for this president in the West Wing?
It's high, and what's striking is it's not just high among them, but it's high with the president himself. And so he's someone who, at this moment, he does believe he's done nothing wrong. As Phil said earlier, he believes he can get in the room with Mueller and convince him of that. But even the president is worried about who is getting wrapped up in this, and especially about his son, Don Jr., and that is all tied to this one meeting. It's tied to what happened at this meeting. It's tied to who knew what about this meeting before it happened. It's tied to whoever else Don Jr. may or may not have told, and the president understands that's a risk, because in that tweet on Sunday, he also knew enough to try to distance himself for it. And he said, they didn't know about this meeting in advance. Now, just because the president says something, that doesn't mean it's true. But it does show you that even he realizes that any knowledge of this meeting before it happened would be problematic for him.
Just superb analysis tonight. We're 24 minutes into our broadcast week. We've already had 3 Pulitzer Prize winners. Our thanks to 2 of them, Matt Apuzzo and Ashley Parker. Thanks for coming on, as always. Coming up, the star witness in the trial of Paul Manafort takes the stand and immediately confesses to criminal behavior. The revelations under oath from Rick Gates and what he admitted to that caught everyone in that courtroom by surprise when we come back.
People with type 2 diabetes are excited about the potential of once-weekly Ozempic. In a study with Ozempic, a majority of adults lowered their blood sugar and reached an A1C of less than 7 and maintained it.
Oh, under 7?
And you may lose weight. In the same 1-year study, adults lost on average up to 12 pounds.
Oh, up to 12 pounds?
A 2-year study showed that Ozempic does not increase the risk of major cardiovascular events like heart attack, stroke, or death.
Oh, no increased risk?
Ozempic should not be the first medicine for treating diabetes or for people with type 1 diabetes or diabetic ketoacidosis. Do not share needles or pens. Don't reuse needles. Do not take Ozempic if you have a personal or family history of medullary thyroid cancer, multiple endocrine neoplasia syndrome type 2, or if you are allergic to Ozempic. Stop taking Ozempic and get medical help right away if you get a lump or swelling in your neck, severe stomach pain, itching, rash, or trouble breathing. Serious side effects may happen, including pancreatitis. Tell your doctor if you have diabetic retinopathy or vision changes. Taking Ozempic with a sulfonylurea or insulin may increase the risk for low blood sugar. Common side effects are nausea, vomiting, diarrhea, stomach pain, and constipation. Some side effects can lead to dehydration, which may worsen kidney problems.
I discovered the potential with Ozempic.
Ask your healthcare provider if Ozempic is right for you.
I'm all about living joyfully. The new United Explorer card hooks me up. Getting more for getting away. Traveling lighter. Getting settled. Rewarded.
Learn more at theexplorercard.com.
Running a business means I can't waste time, especially when I'm hiring. I used to pore over resumes, but now I post my jobs on Indeed. Their screener questions help me get to my shortlist. People with the qualifications I need, like 5 years experience. All saving me time that I get put back into running my business. Hiring's better when you've got your shortlist. Start your first job posting with free premium placement on Indeed.
Your brain changes as you get older, but Prevagen helps your brain with an ingredient originally discovered in jellyfish. In clinical trials, Prevagen has been shown to improve short-term memory. Prevagen, healthier brain, better life.
Hi, I've been with DirecTV for about a year now, and it's like my bill is suddenly almost doubled.
Yeah, that's the year 2 price hike, but don't think of it as a bill. Think of it as a thank you with taxes and fees.
A what?
Or it's like a poem that doesn't rhyme and costs money.
Sorry, I'm not following.
Yeah, a price hike poem written by the billing department, which you're now calling the poetry department.
So I signed up for 2 years, but the price is only good for 1?
Yes, it's all in the contract. I mean, the legally binding pinky promise.
Yeah, of course it is.
DirecTV is selling it. Don't buy it. For no contracts or surprises, choose Spectrum.
When the world is watching and you need your logo to be perfect, you need certainty. At 4imprint, we give you the ultimate guarantee. Because when something has your logo on it, it matters. To you, your customers, your coworkers, and to us. Our wide selection always changes to keep up with the latest trends. But there is one thing we deliver that's timeless. Certainty. Explore thousands of promotional products at 4imprint.com. 4imprint. For certain.
How do we put this? Predictably explosive testimony today from the prosecution's star witness. This was day 5 of the Paul Manafort trial in Northern Virginia. There he is, Rick Gates, Manafort's former business partner, told the jury he committed a number of crimes, including bank fraud and tax fraud. Gates said that he and Manafort had 15 offshore bank accounts, as people do, that they did not disclose to the federal government. He then testified that Manafort directed him to not report the accounts. At one point, the prosecutor simply asked Gates if he committed any crimes with Manafort. Gates responded by saying, quote, yes. Gates also admitted today he stole from his boss. He copped to embezzling hundreds of thousands of dollars from Paul Manafort by creating senior White House reporter for Politico. And Danny Savalas is back with us, a veteran criminal defense attorney. Josh, you get to go first because you were there. I'm curious about things like eye contact, body language, and what was the reaction in there when Gates said, sure, I robbed from the boss? That does indicate enough money floating around that it wasn't missed immediately.
Right. I don't think there was a lot of shock at the testimony on embezzlement because folks will remember that the defense team set out at the very beginning, Manafort's defense team, that there would be some indication that Gates had embezzled money from Manafort's firm. There was a lot of attention given to the body language. Gates came in, he took the stand, took the oath, and in that process somehow managed never to look Paul Manafort, his former boss, in the eye directly. Didn't seem to want to look at the defense table, looked at the prosecutors, looked at the jurors and the judge, but just didn't want to crane his neck around to look directly, squarely at Manafort. I think as the afternoon wore on, there were 1 or 2 occasions when he looked in Manafort's direction, or even a couple points where he said things that were nice about Manafort. But obviously, the overall tenor of the testimony, of the admissions to various crimes, not just the ones that are being tried in this Virginia case, but also ones that are soon to be tried in the Washington, D.C. case against Manafort. That was certainly the substance of the testimony today.
So, Danny, if you're the prosecutor, you try to make this all above board. Be very direct about it. Did you break the law? Why, yes, I did. And the implication is, just like the guy I'm here to testify against. But if you're the defense and you get your chance at Mr. Gates, how do you further go after him to do damage to himself that his admission of a crime has not already done?
First, the prosecution is going to try and get all of this damaging information out on direct examination. The idea being that when the defense stands up to cross-examine them, they're picking over a dead carcass by then because it's all been brought out on direct examination. But still, the defense is going to expose them to the crucible of cross-examination because anytime you have a cooperating witness, it's essentially a situation where the government has gotten hand in hand with a criminal, someone who has lied, someone who has cheated, who has stolen. They're admitting all of these things on the stand, and yet they're asking the jury, don't ever believe me before now because I'm a liar, but today I'm asking you to believe me. And that's the conundrum with all cooperating witnesses. The government is making a deal with the devil in order to get another criminal. Now, as you may recognize, I'm a biased criminal defense attorney, but that is the conundrum encountered in every cooperating witness scenario.
Josh, it's been reported in plain English that this judge was a little snippy to the prosecution and has been tough on the prosecution among the two sides. Can you talk about that a bit?
Yeah, I mean, I think this has been sort of a matter of amusement to many of the courtroom observers. This is a septuagenarian judge who likes to make sort of dated references to baked Alaskan desserts and to brag about how he doesn't use email, only his wife uses email. And he has prevented the prosecution from, in his view, belaboring certain issues, like showing more photos of Manafort's suits than the judge thinks is appropriate. And he's reined in the testimony they're able to offer on some of these fronts. And today we saw the prosecution's frustration with this really boil over. There were a couple, frankly, of outright shouting matches between the judge and the prosecutor, Greg Andres, who was handling the Gates testimony. And both sides were really, frankly, yelling at each other. And it was very startling. It was sort of the courtroom volume you might have expected in a scene from A Few Good Men or something like that. And it really drew your attention. And I can understand the prosecutor's difficulties with some of this, because as Danny will realize, if a ruling goes against the prosecution, there is no appeal. If the judge goes too far in limiting the prosecution's case and Manafort is acquitted, that's the end of the matter. If he rules against the defense on some matter, well, they're always entitled to some appeal. There'll be a political impact, but if there's a conviction, they can appeal. And so this is really the prosecution's only chance to really dispute these rulings with the judge, and they clearly feel he's been tying their hands.
Danny, talk about this.
You may outwardly perceive this judge as being harsh on the prosecution, but in a way, he's safeguarding the prosecution. If they go too far, if they admit or seek to admit too many ostrich skin jackets,
or mention Russia,
or go out of bounds, then that prosecution, if they get a conviction, it is ripe for appeal. So as much as he may appear to be yelling at the prosecution and taking the defense's side, in a way, he's protecting the prosecution too. He's protecting the sanctity of the trial and looking out for appealable issues and heading them off at the pass before they become a real problem. But, you know, these kinds of disputes between judges and litigants are not uncommon. Litigants have to make the record, especially defense attorneys, on appeal. They have to do so zealously. So it's not uncommon for fireworks to go off between counsel. As long as the jury's out of the room and out of earshot, it's much, much more acceptable.
Counselor, thank you. And Josh, every time you appear, I remind our audience, court starts early in the morning, and this man is there for the start. He finishes his day often for us, and we can't thank him enough. Josh Gerstein, Danny Savalas, thank you, gentlemen, both of you. Coming up, the president rallied primary voters over the weekend, the aforementioned rally in Ohio for this closely watched special election. Steve Kornacki is here to explain why this one race has attracted so much attention, and perhaps what we'll be talking about during this very hour when we have results tomorrow night.
Who would have thought? Who would have guessed? An energy company helping cars emit less. Making cars lighter. It's a good place to start. Advanced oils for those hard-working parts. Fuels that go further, so drivers pump less. Improving efficiency is what we do best. Energy lives here.
Salads should look like this. Crisp leaves of lettuce, freshly made dressing. Clean food that looks this good, delivered to your desk. Now delivering to home or office. Panera, food as it should be.
As a working mom, I'm thankful my mom is able to help out. So I bought her the all-new Jitterbug Flip from Great Call. It's so easy to use, and with a larger screen and bigger buttons, it's even easier to dial. There's also a 5-star button on the keypad.
One touch and you'll be immediately connected to a highly trained agent who can confirm your location, assess the situation, and get you the help you need.
Service starts as low as $14.99 a month. Available at Best Buy or Rite Aid.
Paying too much for insurance you don't even understand? Well, eSurance makes it simple and affordable. In fact, drivers who switched from Geico to eSurance saved an average of $412. That's auto and home insurance for the modern world. eSurance, an Allstate company. Click or call. Paying too much for insurance that isn't the right fit? Well, eSurance makes finding the right coverage easy. In fact, drivers who switched from Geico to eSurance saved an average of $412. That's auto and home insurance for the modern world. eSurance, an Allstate company. Click or call.
CoQ10 is the #1 cardiologist-recommended supplement for heart health. Qunol, with 3 times better absorption than regular CoQ10, has the #1 cardiologist-recommended form of CoQ10. Qunol, the better CoQ10.
Hey, renovators. Time to dream bigger.
Wayfair, you're my new secret weapon. You got what I need for my renovation. I love all these options, so much to choose from. Vacuums and basements, even my kitchen, your service is sweet. And with Johnny's complete, Wayfair.
Start your renovation at wayfair.com.
Ignite your passions. Explore more. Discover. Embrace adventure. Seek new memories. This summer, drive a Mazda and chase the sun. Spread your wings. Mazda. Feel alive.
We have a man that's going to fight for you. He's going to fight for Ohio, and he's going to be here for a long time. He will never, ever disappoint you. I found that out from the people that know. He's just not going to disappoint you. He's really smart, and he's a really hard worker. Troy Balderson, come on up.
President Trump setting some high expectations there for the Republican candidate Troy Balderson at his rally in Ohio Saturday night. Tomorrow, Balderson faces off against the Democrat in this race, Danny O'Connor, in a special election for the state's 12th congressional district. According to the folks at Real Clear Politics, and we quote, the heavily Republican 12th and its predecessors have sent Republicans to Congress in every election dating back to 1980 and 1936 before that. Trump won that district by 11 points back in 2016. But according to the most recent polling, this House race is a whole lot closer than most folks expected. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is where Steve Kornacki comes in, our national political correspondent at the big board, with a preview of what we'll be talking about perhaps tomorrow night. Steve, take it away.
Yeah, Brian, this time tomorrow night, we'll probably know the winner out there in Ohio. And that last line you just said there, boy, that sounds familiar. That's the story of a lot of these special elections. Double-digit, historically Republican districts suddenly in play. This tomorrow, the final test, the final special election test we're going to see before the midterms in November for Democrats here, as you say, a golden opportunity, according to the polls, to pick off a traditionally Republican district, a Trump by double digits district, a district in the heart of the state, Ohio, that Donald Trump won by 10 points in 2016. So what is going on? What are we going to look for tomorrow night? Here's the fascinating thing. This is a district, it's really a tale of two districts that tell a story of two Americas that are reacting very differently to the Trump presidency. What do I mean? It's this. Donald Trump, we say, won this by 11 in 2016, but let's look closer at how he did it, and you'll see what I mean. Take a look here. This is a district that goes around, in and around Columbus. Look at the Columbus part of this district in the immediate suburb. First, Columbus, Franklin County. About a third of all the votes that are cast in this district tomorrow are going to come from this small land area right here. That's the city. That's the immediate suburbs. This is college-educated, white-collar, professional class, higher income. We've talked about these folks here. They are the ones who are most offended, we found, by Donald Trump. And you saw, this is a district, this is a part of the district that Hillary Clinton won by 18 points. That was a big improvement for Democrats versus what they normally do. You look immediately north, bedroom community suburbs here in Delaware County. Trump won this in 2016, but that's worse than Republicans normally do here. So between these two counties, parts of two counties here that are in this district, about 60% of the vote's going to come out of here tomorrow night, and it's the story of that suburban backlash against Trump. Is there going to be really high turnout for the Democrats here, and is Balderson, the Republican, going to struggle, relatively speaking, like Trump did in this traditionally Republican Republican Park. That's a little more than half the district. The rest of the district, though, the opposite story. We talk about those blue-collar white voters. Look at these margins. Here, look at this. Right here, Zanesville. Trump won by 29. Obama carried this part of the district in 2012. It swung that hard to Trump. So you had the folks here on this half that swung to Trump, the folks on the other side that swung away. Very interesting read about which of those groups is most motivated tomorrow, Brian.
All right, you're allowed to go home only for nourishment and a change of clothes, but we have to have you back here tomorrow night. This is absolutely essential.
You got it.
Steve Kornacki, our thanks, as always, at the big board. Coming up as we continue, President Trump told Ohio supporters there could be a red wave come November and said he could destroy any GOP politicians who refuse to support him. We'll talk about all of it when we come back.
This is not a video game. This is not a screensaver. This is the destruction of a cancer cell by the body's own immune system, thanks to medicine that didn't exist until now. And today, it can save your life.
Makes your business great with Vistaprint business cards. With more shapes, paper stocks, and finishes to choose from, you can create the card that's right for your business. 500 standard cards start at just $9.99 when you enter promo code 500cards at Vistaprint.com.
Nothing says summer like a beach trip. So let's promote our summer travel deal on choicehotels.com like this. Surf Shop. Earn a $50 gift card when you stay just twice this summer.
Or, bada book, bada boom. Book now at choicehotels.com.
Fact is, every insurance company hopes you drive safely. But Allstate actually helps you drive safely with DriveWise. It lets you know when you go too fast and brake too hard. With feedback to help you drive safer, giving you the power to actually lower your cost. Unfortunately, you can't do anything about that. Now that you know the truth, are you in good hands?
If you keep on eating, we'll keep it coming. All you can eat riblets and tenders at Applebee's. Now that's eating good in the neighborhood.
All friendlies have been eliminated.
Why? NordVPN uses military-grade encryption that protects your information from online tracking. In just a few clicks, you can protect up to 6 devices for just $4 per month. Don't risk being hacked. Install NordVPN at nordvpn.com/TV today.
Don't gamble with your student loans. Refinance somewhere else and get rate guesstimates from companies who may sell your data. Refinance at credible.com and compare actual rates from top lenders. Visit credible.com before your next payment is due.
I said, Troy, why did you invite Trump in here, President? He said, no, I didn't. So, I think Donald Trump decides where he wants to go, and I think they think they're firing it up the base. But I have to tell you, at the same time he comes in here, I was with some women last night who said, hey, you know what? I'm not voting. They're Republicans. I'm not voting for the Republicans. See, this is the problem the party has now.
And that, of course, is the sitting governor of Ohio, John Kasich, on this week on ABC News, discussing President Trump's involvement in tomorrow's special election in his state. As the governor noted, some Republicans are worried the president could actually hurt some GOP candidates and not help. Take, for example, the president's decision today to endorse the Secretary of State of the state of Kansas, Chris Kobach, for governor. Kobach has been an outspoken supporter of Trump's voter fraud allegations. He is challenging the Republican incumbent governor of Kansas, Jeff Collier. It's an endorsement the Republican Governors Association and other party leaders were hoping to avoid. Polls show if Kobach advances, he could have a tough time winning the general election come November. We are joined by two of our frequent contributors who we are so happy to have with us here in New York. David Jolly, former Republican congressman from Florida, and Anita Kumar, White House correspondent for McClatchy Newspapers. The one great thing about the president coming to New Jersey is we get all of our friends who cover the White House just across the Hudson River. Congressman, I'd like to begin with you. Do you think it's when I ask you what your survival chances are as a non-Trump Republican member of Congress trying to seek re-election, is that a moving target almost on a daily basis?
It is, but some things are coming into focus as we get closer to Election Day. First is in a Republican primary, Donald Trump has the Midas touch. I mean, he can shift a race in a Republican primary dramatically. This is his party. Every candidate in a Republican primary today, including in Florida, is trying to get as close to the president as possible. But what we also know in a general election, and this goes to Kansas and the concern of the Republican Governors Association, in every single special election since Donald Trump got elected, every special congressional election, every single one of them, Republicans have underperformed under the Trump administration and Democrats have overperformed. And we have yet to see a battle in a truly competitive congressional district. We've yet to see those 23 to 24 Republican-held districts that Hillary Clinton actually won in 2016. That is where disaster could be in play if Donald Trump continues to play in these races.
Anita, his numbers can't be disputed. Do you think Kansas is the great laboratory to watch in this event?
Well, I mean, it's really interesting because it's so surprising he got in, right? Because for all the reasons we just said. But a lot of reasons it's not surprising. These two go back a long way. Donald Trump Jr. has already been there twice. They talk frequently. I think they just talked the other day on Saturday. So they don't have the typical relationship. They have a close relationship. Some of these other people may not, other Republicans may not know the president as well. So the campaign had been expecting since February that the president might endorse. They heard that he might, and so they'd kind of been expecting it and welcoming it. So I think Kansas is a little bit different than some of these other places.
Also, Congressman, the president's Twitter feed, for all the good and all the bad, to your point, really does move voters.
It does. And listen, we see this in Florida right now. We have a Republican gubernatorial candidate who for 20 years has been positioning himself to be governor, a down-the-line conservative who, because Trump endorsed his opponent, a Freedom Caucus hardline Trumpian Republican, is now going to lose this race. The Trump candidate has pole vaulted to the lead. But we're going to get to a very competitive November environment where Democrats could have the greatest opportunity they've had in 20 years. Donald Trump has none of the down ballot positives in November, but he has all the down ballot negatives. And that is why if you're a Republican facing a blue wave and you've embraced Donald Trump, you could be in real trouble in November.
I'm going to talk to you about aspirations, and I'm going to talk to our journalist about reality. So starting with you, what would you like the GOP bumper sticker for the midterm elections, party-wide, to read?
You turn it down a little bit,
I hope
please.
the GOP loses in November, because I think we need a hard reset. Because I think under Donald Trump, we've abandoned who we are as a party.
Yo, turn
I
it
expect
down.
Republicans to try to sell the American people are the following. Donald Trump, make America great again, is the only message they have. They will say they voted for lower taxes and Democrats voted for higher taxes. And they will sell you fear and xenophobia, talking about border security that truly only impacts about 5% of the constituency. But what Republicans cannot overcome is the American people don't trust the Republican Party today. And I don't think ideology matters as much going into November. Democrats selling Medicare for all, Obamacare, a $15 minimum wage. It's important to lay those principles out. The question for voters in November is, do you trust Donald Trump and the Republican majority in Congress? Because I don't think 51% of the country does.
Now, Anita, what do you think the current bumper sticker is for the Trump Republican Party?
It's...
is it Make America Great Again? Is it that simple?
I think it's... every minute it changes. So I think, I hear from Republicans in Washington that they want it to be the economy. They want it to be tax cuts, you know, the things that we all think, right? Maybe border security, maybe some health care in there, but that's really what they want to talk about. Let the president talk about the economy. Remember a week and a half ago when some of the jobs numbers came out?
I can't remember.
And
Are you kidding?
the president came out unannounced into the Rose Garden, and he had this speech about the economy and how great it was.
Oh, yeah.
And people were cheering, Republicans were cheering that speech. That's what they want him to do for the next 3 months. Now, that's not what's going to happen for the next 3 months. What's going to happen is we're going to have tweets about LeBron James. We're going to have tweets about the Russia hoax and the witch hunt and, you know, all sorts of people insulting all sorts of people just because he can't stay on message. Before, we were talking about how he went to his first Trump rally. A Trump political rally is 90 minutes. He talks about everything. It's not about the candidate he's there to support. It's usually about himself, and it's about a million things under the sun. So we cannot expect it will be about the economy.
Former Congressman David Jolly visiting us here in New York, and current White House correspondent Anita Kumar. I hope my home state is being good to you. Enjoy the northern New Jersey area while you're here. Coming up, the life and death struggle that is underway out west, where they don't have time to stop to try to figure out just what it is the president meant. That and more when we come back.
Wherever forces clash,
We've been hearing incoming rounds have been whistling past.
wherever leaders assert their power,
They not only stood next to each other, they stood up for each other.
wherever heroes rush to the scene,
They'll continue the rescue mission until every child is brought out.
or voices shout to be heard,
There has been a steady consistency of protesters here.
our journalists will be there,
Here off the coast of Japan, U.S. 7th Fleet is part of the front line of defense.
bringing the world to focus.
If you live with diabetes, why fingerstick when you can scan? With the Freestyle Libre, a continuous glucose monitoring system, you can check your glucose levels anytime without fingersticks. With the Freestyle Libre system, just scan the sensor and manage your diabetes. You can do it without fingersticks. Freestyle Libre is available with a prescription at participating pharmacies. Learn more at freestylelibre.us.
There's a reason criminals are on the dark web looking for your email, phone, and social security number. With them, they can access your personal information and steal your identity. Fight back with Experian. It's easy. Go to Experian.com/protect for a free dark web triple scan. We'll tell you if your social security number, phone, and email have been compromised, so you can act before a criminal can. Get your free dark web triple scan today at Experian.com/protect.
Hi, neighbor. You're selling your action figures. You love those.
Oh, my car needs a new window track, and the dealer wants a fortune. Time for desperate measures.
Don't pay crazy dealer prices when RockAuto.com has all the parts your car will ever need at half the price. Here's your window regulator. Pick the brand, click Add Part. It's easy.
With Rock Auto's low prices, I can fix my car and keep my action figures. And you too, Buster.
Rock Auto, all the parts your car will ever need.
All the parts your car will ever need, Rock Auto.
Liberty Mutual accident forgiveness means they won't hike your rates over one mistake. See? Liberty Mutual doesn't hold grudges.
For drivers with accident forgiveness, Liberty Mutual won't raise their rates because of their first accident.
Liberty, 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 liberty. Hop back to my home, only place feel alone. I need the fire in the soil. Now I'm gonna tell my mama that I'm a traveler. I'm gonna follow the sun. Now I'm gonna tell my mama that I'm a traveler. I'm gonna follow the sun.
Transitions, right under control.
Every time the mailman comes, he thinks he's BarkBox.
Get $40 worth of toys, treats, and shoes for as low as $21 a month. Subscribe today and save at BarkBox.com.
With the new Chase Ink Business Unlimited card, I get unlimited 1.5% cash back. It's so simple, I don't even have to think about it. So, I think about mouthfeel.
I don't think about the ink card. I think about nitrogen ice cream in supermarkets all over the world.
I think about the details. Fine. I obsess over the details.
Think about every part of your business except the one part that works without a thought, your ink card. Introducing Chase Ink Business Unlimited with unlimited 1.5% cash back on every purchase. Chase for business. Make more of what's yours.
last thing before we go here tonight is one of the aspects of this new normal we're all living. It's the notion, say nothing of the near daily reality, of statements by the president, and that's what tweets from the president are. Statements by the president that in this case make little or no sense and contain falsehoods. Case in point, the president's tweets about this churning, grinding tragedy that Californians are witnessing right now. 17 major fires are burning. 9 people have died, and we just learned tonight the largest of these fires has just tonight become the largest in the history of that state. Over 1,100 structures have been destroyed. Watch this loop from the Weather Service satellite focused on the American West. This is what the fires look like from space. Look at those smoke plumes. They now stretch clear across Nevada and into New Mexico. And here is what the president said about the California fires. Quote, Governor Jerry Brown must allow the capitalized free flow of the vast amounts of water coming from the north and foolishly being diverted into the Pacific Ocean can be used for fires, farming, and everything else. Think of California with plenty of water. Nice, fast federal government approval. But wait, there's more. California wildfires are being magnified and made so much worse by the bad environmental laws, which aren't allowing massive amounts of readily available water to be properly utilized. It is being diverted into the Pacific Ocean. Must also tree clear to stop fire from spreading. An LA Times writer today called that strikingly ignorant. To be clear, no one that we're aware of in California, in academia, in government, seems to know what the president is talking about other than the fact that rivers flow into the Pacific Ocean. And what does the president mean by tree clear? If he means fire breaks, they have been a regular means of firefighting and fire prevention for generations on our wildlands. Right now, there are hundreds of people in California who have lost everything. Overnight tonight, more families will lose everything. The death toll in these fires includes children. The countryside will be scarred for a generation. Along with all available aircraft and apparatus, there are 14,000 firefighters in this fight, and they include some of the bravest and best people our country can produce. So, between condolences and comfort and thanks and cheering them all on, there's plenty to say on Twitter or anywhere else about this life and death struggle going on right now in the state of California. That is our broadcast on a Monday night as we start a new week together. Thank you so very much for being here with us. Good night from NBC News headquarters here in New York.